I've long talked about the access of indoctrination, Hollywood, media, academia. I think I ought to add big tech. But let's talk about academia. Here are 5 examples of the kind of thing I'm talking about. Wokeism has taken over our colleges and our universities. Exhibit A. There is a professor named Jason Kilborn. What did he do? In an exam on civil procedure, he used a hypothetical. Here's a hypothetical. A black female manager sues a former employer, charging that she'd been fired because of her race and gender. She alleged that managers called her, and this is how it appeared in Professor Kilborn's hypothetical, an N-word and a B-word, end of quote. Apparently somebody complained, and he was placed on indefinite leave. The black law students complained. This triggered the school's violence prevention plan and a behavioral threat assessment team. The Office of Access and Equity notified Kilborn he was guilty of harassing conduct because of the exam question. Despite having great reviews, he was declared ineligible for an across-the-board 2% raise, had to undergo an 8-week diversity instruction involving 20 hours of coursework, 5 self-reflection papers, weekly 90-minute sections with a diversity trainer. Really? So he sued. He said, I have been using the same hypothetical for 10 years without a problem, but now? Exhibit B, Georgetown Law School. A professor named Ilya Shapiro was supposed to join the faculty as a senior lecturer, but then he made a fatal mistake. He criticized Joe Biden for saying that he wanted to nominate a black female to be the next member of the United States Supreme Court. Wrong move. He criticized identity politics and said whoever becomes the next Supreme Court justice is going to have an asterisk next to her name because she's going to be perceived as a lesser qualified candidate, whether she is or not. He tweeted, because Biden says he's only considering black women for SCOTUS, his nominee will always have an asterisk attached. Fitting that the court takes up affirmative action next term, close quote, referring to the fact that there is an affirmative action case that SCOTUS is going to be hearing involving Harvard. Now, he apologized for his, quote, poor choice of words, close quote, but didn't do any good. Georgetown placed him on administrative leave. The plot thickens. There is a federal judge named James Ho. He was invited to speak at Georgetown. He sits on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. But in the last minute, he completely changed his speech and defended Professor Shapiro. Here is what Judge Ho said. I'm going to spend my time talking about Ilya Shapiro. Cancel culture is not just antithetical to our constitutional culture and our American culture. It is completely antithetical to the very legal system that each of you seeks to join, end of quote. He added, if you think his understanding of the law is absurd, if you think this vision for our country is awful, here's what I say. Bring him onto campus and beat him. The foundation of our entire adversarial system is justice. You must understand your opponent's views in order to fully understand and thus powerfully defend your own views, end of quote. And regarding discrimination, Judge Ho said this, quote, so make no mistake, if there is any racial discrimination in statements like Shapiro's, it's not coming from the speaker, it's coming from the policy that the speaker is criticizing. That's the unfortunate irony in this whole discussion. If you ask Ilya, I am sure he would say that he's the one standing up for racial equality and that his opponents are the ones who are supporting racial discrimination. You don't have to agree with him, but it's obvious that's where he's coming from. And yet I don't hear Ilya trying to punish others for taking a different view on racial equality, end of quote. And finally, Judge Ho said this. Ilya already apologized and said he should have used different words. And Judge Ho said, quote, that ought to be enough. I stand with Ilya on the paramount importance of color blindness. And that same principle should apply whether we're talking about getting into college, getting your first job, or receiving an appointment to the highest court in the land. Racism is a scourge that America has not yet fully extinguished, and the first step in fighting racial discrimination is to stop practicing it. That's all Ilya is trying to say. That's all he has ever tried to say. And so, if Ilya Shapiro is deserving of cancellation, said Judge Ho, then you should go ahead and cancel me too. End of quote. That's all for today's Larry Elder on YouTube. We're now showing a shorter version of our show on YouTube. That's after being censored and demonetized for a whole year. Full episode can be watched on our website, epictv.com/Larry Elder. That's epictv.com/Larry Elder. You can also find out where to watch our show live on cable in your city at ntd.com/TV. All the links are in the description down below.